I'm Sarah Diamond.
I'm Josh Smith. Despite nationwide attention received by her disappearance, there are still no answers as to what happened to the little girl. The most significant recent development came yesterday when an age-progressed image was released showing what Summer could look like now at the age of 7. That's the photo on the left of your screen.
Summer was 5 when she disappeared. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says there are no new details they can publicly release. But we have team coverage tonight. Clarice Shaley is at a vigil to help find Summer and honor other missing people.
But first, we'll go to Ansley Daniel, who spoke with Don Wells, Summer's father. Ansley, you've been tracking this case from the start.
Yeah, Josh and Sarah, here we are 2 years later, still trying to find out what happened to Summer. And tonight, her father is seeking some answers of his own.
I'm just having to put my faith completely in God and know that He has a better plan. And that's pretty much where I'm at. My wife is still struggling.
A lot has changed for the Wells family over the last 2 years since their daughter Summer went missing from their Beech Creek home in Hawkins County.
Social media have come out, and protested at my job, everywhere we go, and so it's hard for us to get any work or anything in Eastern Tennessee.
Wells says he and his wife Candace have been in Arkansas on and off for the last few months, where he's been working in construction. He also says they've been working with the Department of Children's Services there to get their 3 older sons back. They've been in Tennessee DCS custody since the month after Summer was reported missing.
I think they're scared of our house because of what happened, and is one of the issues, so we would like to buy another house here in Arkansas.
The house he's referring to on Ben Hill Road is where his daughter went missing from.
We couldn't understand what happened to Summer. The police couldn't understand, and they were questioning us. At times they were hard on us, and other times they weren't. Just depending on what police agency was there at the time.
2 years later, he and Candace have no clues as to where Summer is.
We try to bounce things off of each other all the time. We might have talks about, some of the drug activity that was going on at the time and was going on right after her disappearance for quite a while. But yeah, there's nothing new.
Don says the family stays in touch with law enforcement through their private investigators.
About 2 months ago, they talked to our private investigators, and the FBI did, and they shared what they could with us. But they was just trying to come up with any new information or leads that they possibly could, and so far, we just haven't been able to come up with anything.
As 2 years pass with no new information publicly released, Don says the emotional toll is weighing on the family, especially Candace.
She's been burnt by so many people that want to, supposedly, interview her or help and stuff, and then basically turn on her in every imaginable way. She's been hurt deeply by these kind of things, plus the thought of, we lost our daughter, and, our boys are in custody also with the CPS.
He says they haven't been able to talk to their sons.
Well, at first we were allowed to talk to them and everything, but we haven't been able to talk to them for about 6 months, no contact or anything like that. And that's all we want to do, is be able to tell them that we love them and we're rooting for them, and we're working on, things to get them back.
Hope is hard to hold on to after all this time, but Don says he's clinging to faith.
Whatever the outcome is, I have hope in God, and one day, either sooner or later, I will be with my daughter again.
I've reached out to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, the TBI, the FBI, and the Wells family's private investigators. They all declined an interview, but the TBI did answer some questions via email. Those answers, however, don't bring us any closer to knowing what happened to Summer.
Each Thursday, we bring you a missing persons case from across the country, and today we have an update to a case we have covered before that has gripped the attention of people from all over the world. Today marks 2 years since a little girl in Tennessee vanished from her rural home. Her name is Summer Wells, and what you're seeing here is a brand new age progression photo from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. This is what Summer may look like today. She'd be 7 years old. She was 5 when she disappeared. All of the attention on Summer's case has led to dead-end tips for investigators, even harassment towards her parents. Now law enforcement are tight-lipped about what they know about the case. Summer's father sat down with News Nation to keep his daughter's case in the headlines.
This is Summer Wells. The 5-year-old lived at this house in Rogersville, Tennessee, a tight-knit community of less than 5,000 people. On June 15, 2021, her parents say Summer was helping plant flowers with her mom and grandmother.
She wanted to go into the house. My wife watched her go into the door, and she went into the house, and the boys were on the internet, of course. She wanted to go downstairs and play with her toys.
I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight.
2 years after her parents, Don and Candace Wells, gave those accounts, that's still all we know about the last time Summer was seen. Almost immediately, Summer's parents became the center of a police investigation.
Summer's parents, Candace and Don, had something to do with this, or have you ruled that out?
We haven't ruled anything out. Everything's possible.
Could she have gotten herself into a situation where it wasn't her fault, but
No.
you know what I mean?
No, she's a good mother. She loves her children. She's not going to allow any situation like that. The biggest mistake she might have made is maybe choosing some wrong friends, which is, it happens.
Don Wells pleaded guilty to driving under the influence last year. Candace also filed an order of protection against him, but asked for it to be dismissed. He now faces criminal charges in 3 states, including a domestic assault arrest in 2020. 2 years later, investigators have not charged either Don or his wife in connection to Summer's disappearance.
Everybody makes mistakes, and we all have to learn and go on. We're doing better. It's still very rough for my wife.
Don Wells sat down with News Nation to talk about where the case stands today. His wife hasn't sat down for an interview since this appearance on Dr. Phil in 2021, where she walked out of an interview in Texas.
No, I'm being interrogated again, and I don't want to do this anymore. Yes, I am.
We'll stop. I want you to feel comfortable.
Since Summer's disappearance, Don says their life has been consumed by harassment from people online who believe they're responsible for whatever happened to Summer.
Before you know it, you're getting a mob going. My wife could go to the store and somebody would scream at her, baby killer.
Call the cops, Candace.
He sent us videos from one of his job sites where some people were demanding to speak with him about the case.
We're gonna follow you. We're gonna wait here all day.
Don says it's gotten so bad he had to leave the state. Now the two live in a motel in Arkansas, where Don was able to find a new job. As for Summer's case, Don says they have private investigators working with police. The Hawkins County Sheriff's Office is still working alongside the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Both agencies declined to give us an interview. Don says he hasn't learned anything new from police, but has always said he believes Summer was abducted. In the past, the sheriff said there's no evidence that happened.
Nothing pointing to abduction, nothing pointing to foul play, other than her walking outside the house and not being found.
There was also a key tip from a neighbor in 2021. A woman and her teen children told police they heard a scream about an hour before Summer went missing.
I wish every day that when I heard that scream, I hadn't tried to dismiss it.
But the sheriff said after multiple interviews, that tip led nowhere. One clue they're still looking for is a pickup truck seen in the area around the time Summer vanished. It's described as a red or maroon Toyota truck with ladders on the back. Even if it's found, police aren't sure if the truck is connected to the case.
I do have hope. Whatever the outcome is, I have hope in God. One day, either sooner or later, I will be with my daughter again.
The sheriff declined an interview in the case. He did email us, though, saying he expects an update on the case in the near future. Also, Don and Candace have 3 boys. They were taken by Child Services a month after Summer's disappearance. Don says they have not been allowed to talk to their boys in half a year, but he hopes to get them back.
Thank you. Now to Operation Crime and Justice. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is asking all of us to remain on the lookout for Summer Wells. This is what she could look like today. There on the right, the 5-year-old disappeared from her home over in East Tennessee in Rogersville in June of 2021. TBI is calling this case one of the most exhaustive and involved missing child cases it has ever investigated. The age progression is from a forensic artist with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The TBI has conducted nearly 200 interviews looking for this little girl. Agents warn people against sharing tips seen on social media or spreading false information.